Welcome to SKC Live. I'm actually joined here with two lovely ladies, Mariah and Irena. It's kind of funny how you guys ended up here today, right? Like, I mean, I've known you for many years, but we haven't really connected in probably the last like 10 years, 8 to 10 years. Yeah. But actually through my friend David Misi, that started an amazing magazine called Misi Magazine, and he thought it would be a good idea to kind of get us all together and just talk shop.
I'm in. Yes. Yep, very excited.
Well, it's funny because sometimes when you're kind of getting geared up for a podcast and you start talking ahead of time, come to find out both of these lovely ladies are from Colorado, specifically Grand Junction.
That's right. Yep, and we just met each other too.
Yeah,
small world.
And now we're best friends.
Yes.
They're BFFs?
Yes.
I think that's what happens when you're from the same town.
Yeah, for sure. Grand Junction's small enough to.
So this is the first time you guys are meeting as well?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was crazy because you got Mariah that's actually going to be on the cover of Misi Magazine for October.
Yes.
And then Irena is going to follow her right back up with November, which is actually
crazy.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. Actually, I got a little sneak peek picture of the lovely, beautiful Mariah. And so in Vegas, I would say if you know the show world, the entertainment world, Mariah also comes from a very popular show here in town called Fantasy. And you've been doing Fantasy for how long?
Well, I moved to Vegas when I was 18, so I've been professionally dancing for about 20 years now.
Wow.
Give or take. And I've been lucky enough to be in Fantasy for now 14 years. And I started as a dancer, kind of moved into company manager, then got promoted to associate producer, and this year I just was promoted to co-producer of the show, as well as dance 6 nights a week. So I'm very, very lucky and blessed.
And Fantasy is at Luxor?
At Luxor every night at 10:30.
It's never dark?
Never dark. I mean,
wow.
Unless the pandemic happens again, but knock on wood, we're...
yeah. The pandemic, no bueno.
Yep.
Especially for Vegas.
Yep. Otherwise, we're on.
10:30 every night.
10:30 every night.
Wow. How long has the show actually been running for?
We're about to celebrate 23 years anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah, October 11th, we're actually doing a big calendar release, and that'll be our 23-year anniversary party. And yeah,
I was going to say, because it's what you, Carrot Top's over there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How often does Carrot Top pop in on your show?
He never comes into our show, but we share a backstage dressing room, so I see him every single night. Like he'll, has that like a prop. He'll come over and be like,
"Hey, what do you think of this?
I just saw this new joke, or something happened on the news. What do you guys think about this?" And so he'll test his new jokes and props out on us. So he's hilarious and the nicest guy.
Yeah, he's actually one of the first people I met when I moved back to Vegas. I grew up in Vegas, and then I moved to Miami, and I moved back in 2005. And somebody introduced me to him, and he was actually pretty quiet, kind of to himself. But then when he kind of warms up to you a little bit. But I went and saw a show a few times, and I don't know what it is, but like I have to pee before I go watch a show because I laugh so hard. His slapstick comedy is incredible.
He is the funniest guy and the nicest guy. Like, I've seen his show, and I hear his show every single night. So sometimes he has consistent jokes that. It's funny every single time. I'm like, and then if the audience doesn't like it, he's just like, well, that one sucked. I'm not going to do that one again. And he's just funny. Yeah. If you haven't seen Carrot Top, you should go see him.
Oh no, absolutely, and Fantasy as well.
Well, of course, obviously.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So Irena, you've obviously known David for a long time, and so talk about like how you met David and what got you into modeling and.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to say I'm not from Vegas, so it's really cool to hear these behind the scenes stories. I was like, you guys are very cool. So yeah, I moved to LA, I guess a decade ago, and I met David through another photographer I had worked for in Colorado Springs, I think. But she just was like, go meet David. And I was like, why? She's like, just go meet him. He's a great photographer, and maybe he can photograph you or something. And so I went and met him, and he lived in Venice at the time, and just like looked at his book, and I was like, cool. I didn't know what I was doing, like meeting photographers. And so I modeled for him, and then ended up modeling for some of his workshops because he did like I think they're called fantasy Photoshop workshops.
Oh.
I can't, whatever.
think
He
so,
would
yeah.
like
But,
get photographers that wanted to shoot in the style of Playboy
Yeah.
and teach workshops on how to light the way that they used to light for Playboy. And so he would do like those like boot camp workshop weekends or whatever. So I would model for some of those. And yeah, it was really cool. I love David. I've known him for, I guess, a decade now. And yeah, he was the first photographer that ever shot me. And he's the only photographer that shoots me nude now. I don't trust anybody else. I'm just like, why, you know?
No, for sure.
Why
I mean,
when there's David?
Right.
well, I mean, when you have a literally a living legend in photography. So, like, my background is I grew up in Vegas. I moved to Miami, and then I picked up photography. And I actually built a pretty good little career for like 6 years in Miami. And, of course, this was like the beginning of the 2000s. And, I mean, Playboy was like the pinnacle. Like, you wanted to shoot like the Playboy photographers, Steven, Arnie,
Yeah.
David,
Absolutely.
and I mean the fact that they're lighting sequences and structures, and and they come in and they just make the female body look incredible,
Yeah.
which is hence Playboy or why it blew up. So it's funny how we got reconnected, and come to find out we actually know a whole bunch of the same people. But actually, he was one of the photographers I looked up to. And so being able to kind of like, talk shop with him now, kind of wish I could have done it back when I was doing photography.
Right.
Right.
Because, I mean, I could have used some of the tips. But yeah, I mean, that was literally the pinnacle. Like, you wanted to be, definitely a Playboy photographer.
Absolutely. And modeling, like, that was like to be a Playboy model or Playmate of the Year. That was my dream, and I didn't get a chance to, while Playboy was still up and
Playboy,
running,
yeah.
Hugh
Yeah.
Hefner. But yeah, when David asked me, I was like, absolutely. Like, my whole life have wanted to be a Playboy model. So
Really?
yeah, I was honored when David asked me to shoot with him.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, what's funny is I think secretly a lot of women would definitely want to be on the cover of Playboy, especially be a Playmate.
Oh yeah, for
Totally.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you talk to a lot of girls like, oh no, I'm not going to shoot nude. But it's like I think the difference between shooting with a professional photographer nude and somebody that you're just meeting and are hitting you up, hey, you want to do some nudes?
For sure.
I mean, I
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I personally I kind of avoided it. Like implied, maybe like a mesh or like, maybe that, the arm across the boob type of thing. But I don't know. I always felt very intimidated that I wasn't going to capture it the right way because, again, the lighting has to be perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, because, I mean, there's so many different angles and shadows, and you don't want to have a shadow over the wrong area.
Right.
And so it was very intimidating from a professional side. But, again, I mean, there's all these people out there that are like, oh, yeah, I can shoot you. And, but yeah, I mean, so have you ever done modeling, for like any other nude modeling or Playboy, or did you try out? Did you?
No, I kind of, I moved to Vegas and I had intentions of, like, when I was younger, like I was going to move out to LA, that I was going to, live that dream. And then I was so successful in Vegas. I was like, I can't leave. And I've literally been working on 6 days a week since I was 18. So it really, kept like the universe, like, tell me what to do. And then like, they just kept giving me work in Vegas. So I was like, I think this is where I'm supposed to be. And as it turned out, I really never, had time or anything else to shoot anything. So now that I'm prioritizing my life a little differently, I'm like, I'm, not getting any younger. Might as well just do it. Like, within the right scenario with, like someone like I trust, like David, that I know the photos are going to be awesome. So
No, for
yeah, this
sure.
is my first real nude photo shoot.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I mean that, anyone would see.
No, I was going to say, I've seen other photography done on you that is spectacular. But even isn't Fantasy a topless show?
Yeah, Fantasy is topless. And it was kind of like back to that. Like, I was never going to do a topless show when I moved to Vegas. I was like, absolutely not. I did Show in the Sky, covered. I was very like Disney PG. And then auditioned for a topless show. And I was like, it was in Laughlin. I was like, no one's going to come see me in Laughlin in case I hated it. And then I took my top off and I loved it. I was like, this is so freeing, so empowering. Like, it was I was actually shocked that I liked it so much.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were always done so classy and beautiful, and the whole showgirl thing. And I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Wow. So Irena, modeling, met David a decade ago. So from a decade ago till now, so what's been your progression in your career, or do you have other career kind of?
I mean, like, same. I wasn't like trying to be a model. It's just kind of, I was acting and pursuing some other things, but that kind of all comes together when you're, doing your headshots and trying to get out there and meeting people. I pursued acting for a while, probably, I don't know, like 10 years. I'm still like pursuing it in a way. It was interesting as I started doing that. It took so much time and money.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started getting jobs, like those entry-level jobs, it just didn't pay like what you think it pays. And then I was like, I don't know if I can commit to sacrificing my time and money for something that doesn't pay you back what you're putting in. So I'm a hairstylist, and I do that like, part-time still to kind of fill in. But yeah, it's an interesting to see, like, being in LA for like the last decade, things have changed so much. And like, even as a hairdresser, talking to people all the time because my clients are actors, and seeing that whole world, just the progression of the way things go with that. Not to get like into the economy and stuff, it's hard to like be like, how does everybody live here and make so little with these industries?
Yeah.
So with modeling, I do it for fun. It's not something that I'm like trying to make an income off of. Although it's interesting talking about, this is like a marketing branding podcast or whatever.
Absolutely.
Right? or whatever, right? It's like kind of interesting to see girls take like their careers in their own hands with building a following and then trying to monetize that. But I did not have the energy to do that. I was actually telling David just the other day how in the past, like, people used to shoot for Playboy, and then now that's a career. Like, now they can do signings. Now they can book other jobs. That was like one shoot. And now people have to create like 50 shoots to just have content. They're just always shooting. And I'm like, man, that's exhausting. Like, how are they paying for it? Are the photographers paying them? Are they paying the photographers all the time? And it's just to build a following and try to monetize on that. And I'm like, now this is for the birds. Like, you used to be able to do like a couple, like be on a show, do a photo shoot, and that's it. Like,
yep.
I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to analyze.
Well, I mean, it's actually one of the most common questions I get as being an agency owner is, how do I become an influencer? Like, what is there? Are there platforms? Are there this? Are there that? And what I try to tell people is, you got to find something other than yourself, that makes you interesting. Some of the biggest influencers I know are also foodies, or they do meal prep, or they're a personal trainer, or they're like Karami, which you both know. She does like holistic healing and sound bowls, and I think if she really pushed that, I think she could probably become an influencer in that world. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely crazy. Like, the TV show Schitt's Creek. Mm-hmm. By the way, I binge watched that during COVID, and actually just fell in love with the show. Fell in love with every character, but the daughter on the show, she said she almost gave up, almost moved back home, because she was going on so many go-sees, so many, and she finally went in, and she literally told herself, I watched a whole interview on it, and she just was like, I don't care. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to do what I think is the best. Because she would always listen to her acting coaches and her agents. And she went in, she crushed it. She did her, it was supposed to be like this prima donna, ultra rich, but kind of ditzy. And she literally went in there and nailed the character. And now she's on top of the world.
I love her so much.
I know, me too.
Yeah, it's funny because what was the name of the character, her brother?
David.
Ew, David. Yeah. Which is actually kind of funny because he's in those new TV commercials where, like, the guy's like, our daughter just took her first step. Can she do it again? yeah, can you do it again for me? You know, like like the character's still him, but I also think that that's really him in real life.
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
he plays himself.
Well, he wrote it. He wrote it with his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's an extenuating persona of who he really is.
Yeah, because I felt like as the series went on, he got better at acting. Because in the beginning, it was a little, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but it was like, oh, you know, like there's a few lines and a few kind of like things, but he nailed that line. I mean, he nailed that. And I like that. I would have to say he's probably my favorite character on the whole show was the David character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the girl,
Alexis.
Alexis,
yes.
yeah.
But I think it's because, ew, David.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be that character.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because remember she had the opportunity to go with her friends and go off. They're going on some, I think they're going like to the Mykonos or something. And they're like, oh, hey, we're all going to go. We're going to be on so-and-so's yacht and this and that. And she had her opportunity to get out of Schitt's Creek, and she didn't, which is actually, I think, when her character really came alive.
Right.
Even the mother was great.
Oh my God, Moira, she was so good.
Beetlejuice mother. I mean, whenever I see her in anything, that's Beetlejuice mom.
Kevin McAllister's mom. You know.
Kevin McCall. Oh my gosh, yeah.
She's amazing. I love her.
No, yeah, no, she played that so well as being like, yeah, no, she nailed that role really well. But yeah, so anyways, a lead into that. I mean, that actress, she was giving up, and and I think the thing is that for her, she was actually about to give up on her dream, and you live in LA and you do it part time, right? You go to a lot of castings.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's an interesting ebb and flow where people are like, "Oh, you just have to like believe you can do it," and I'm like, "That I don't think that works in this case." I think everybody believes they could do it. It's just if you have like the time and the money to weather that storm before you break or whatever. But I'll have my moments of like really trying to do it. But what is really trying is just like taking the classes and networking or trying to get an agent essentially is, what most of your time is. But like, yeah, you could do all those things and still just not have an opportunity. It's interesting. People are like, oh, go do your own web series or go do stand-up or go do anything to get like seen. And sometimes you'll do those things and you're like, oh, well, it didn't work, or like, let's try something else. It's just like a random shuffle of trying different things to see what breaks. But along the way, you just have to enjoy the journey. So I will be like, yeah, I want to do this. And then I'll be like, oh, no, fuck that. I have to go get a job. Like, let's just like be real, like people that live in LA. And then, another little wave will come that inspires you to do something else. So.
Yeah, no, I went to LA probably back in 2002, 20 years ago. And then I got introduced to a guy named Joe Blake. Mm-hmm. And Joe Blake casting, he's a huge casting producer. But he has that big facility right off Sunset Boulevard. And they just run castings for TV commercials, movies, TV series. And that's where his office was. And I'm like walking in, and it's like, if you're here for this audition, this way. I mean, it was chaotic. Mm-hmm. And that was my first time I actually got the taste of like what goes into all this stuff. And you see a lot of long faces of people because they're but there's always that one that got the part, Yeah. And I remember talking to him, and we actually went to dinner at Miyagi's. I don't even know if that's still a thing on Sunset Boulevard. It's like a sushi restaurant.
I remember it being a thing, but I'm
not even sure if it's even still around anymore. But yeah, we went there afterwards. I remember asking him, like, how do you determine that this person over this person, if they're both really good? And he's like, you just know, you just, and then we talked about like, I can't even remember the movies, but he did a lot of really big movies back in the day. And he goes, what would you have thought if this character played this role? Because like Top Gun, mm-hmm. Demi Moore actually, she auditioned for was it Kelly McGillis for her role as the flight instructor? Now, could you imagine like what that would have been for? I mean, Demi Moore went on to have an amazing career, right. But yeah, like he was talking about like all these what ifs if this person played this role and this person. And I'm thinking like, no, I think it's good the way it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was suggesting it would have been better, but he's just like, all these people are up for these acting roles, and we end up sliding this person in. But yeah, no, I mean, LA has got to be chaotic. I mean, you're going out there with a dream, and then like reality slaps you in the face.
Yeah, no, it's that I don't know if I actually came out to LA with a specific dream, to be honest. Like,
Really?
I came out and did hair and makeup for a music video, and just everybody was doing something creative. And I was like, oh man, I'm missing it. I'm missing like all the fun. Like, literally everybody on the set is doing something. And so I just moved out with like the intention of jumping in the mix of like, what is fun? What is all the creative people in LA doing creative things? So maybe that's why like I haven't had a specific success in anything, because I'm like, I want to do all the things.
You're like, squirrel.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like,
squirrel.
okay, let's do this. Do stand up. Let's do modeling. Let's do acting.
So you've actually done stand up?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I did it for maybe like a year. I had like I took some classes with a group called Pretty Funny Women, and it's all females that want to be stand-up comedians. So then you kind of have like a little crew of girls,
Support
and
group.
you would go to like the open mics and do all the things. But yeah, I performed like at Flappers and Comedy Store and stuff like that. It was really fun for a moment, but then again, it takes like every night for free to go pursue doing a thing, hoping that somebody like you build a following, and then they have like what they call bringer shows, which is like, now you're like really great at 5-10 minutes, like do a show and then bring people and we'll give you time. And so I'm like, great, now I'm doing this every other week for free, and now I have to guarantee that people are coming to pay to go see. It's just like so exhausting. I'm like, at what point do you make money doing this?
Well, I mean, when somebody like Lauren Michaels or some other producer that's looking for a female new funny comic to break, because on the flip side, they got to put the same effort and money into you.
Totally, yeah.
In order to try to break you, right?
Yeah.
Because I was in, I'm still in marketing, but I was in more nightclub marketing back in the day. And when I was at Wynn, we used to talk about billboarding a DJ. It would be breaking a DJ. And we knew if we put up billboards with this person's face on it and their name, that could actually make their careers.
Yeah.
But it's the same way with, like if I was a producer and I wanted you, I have to know that you're going to go along with everything that we're going to be doing, good, bad, and indifferent, with your character. Or, with comedy, I'm not really familiar with comedy as much, like breaking comedians or comics, but really the only person I really know, and like I met Brett Garrett, and God, what a funny, the guy's just a walking comedy festival.
Yep.
I mean, everything comes out of his mouth is funny and comedic. But no, that's very interesting that,
It was a fun thing to do for a while, and I thought about taking it further, but again, I just have too many interests. You got to really be committed for like a really long time to make that happen. But I mean, whatever. It's another little skill in the back pocket, I guess.
So out of all the comics that are out there currently today, like which one would you say that?
That's my, you know what? I actually just went and saw Mike Birbiglia for probably like the third time, and he does more storytelling comedy. Have you heard of him?
You know what? I probably do if I saw his face.
Yeah,
I'm
I
more of
don't
a
think I
facial
have.
person. Yeah, the
Yeah.
name, no.
I don't know if like he's everybody's favorite, but he has such like a story to his whole stand up is almost like The Moth, like where it's like storytelling, but then he has like jokes about everything that he's telling. It's not like set up punchline or like crowd work. It's nothing like that. And I don't know. I love like writing, and I really appreciate that type of comedy where you can carry somebody through like a whole journey of like a story or of your life, and just find the humor in all of it and just be like so engaging. He's one of my favorites. So yeah, I guess it's a different style.
Nice.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. No, I don't know. I just, I maybe I'm like old school, but like the Eddie Murphy, the Chris Rocks.
Yeah.
Because they're like Eddie Murphy was probably the best storyteller, but you don't know if it was a true story or it was a comedic story.
Yeah, that's also that kind of bothers me.
Yeah, I know. I kind of want to know if it's fact or
Yeah.
fiction. I kind of want to know.
Yeah, we could just be making up all kinds of bullshit if that's the case. Like, it shouldn't be drawing from like your truth of your experience.
Yeah,
or
well, it's like,
something.
well, my wife, da da da, and it's like, did your wife really like go through that and she's okay with it now?
He's
like,
like, I don't even have a wife.
Yeah, yeah, but there's a lot of things like when when a lot of these comedians they like to bring in like, I feel like they're almost like verifiable people. Like, for example, like, when they say, oh, but, well, my wife did this, or my wife approved this, or my wife got mad at me about this, or my kids, or my mom, or whatever. They do that to kind of like make the story more believable. But I wonder how much of it's really true. I don't know.
I do too.
Yeah.
I also wonder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. If you make up something really funny, and, even Adam Sandler does that. Like, I've seen Adam Sandler stand up and hilarious. Because again, it's somebody that you relate to back to like Billy Madison days.
Yeah.
And you watch him like his whole like acting career, and then now all of a sudden now you actually get a piece of him, and it's like, you're not Billy Madison, you're not Happy Gilmore, you're not the guy from 51st Dates, you're not that sweet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So other than get back to you, Mariah. So dancing was your passion. You came out to Vegas, and you just struck gold.
Oh, I mean, I wish it was that easy.
Okay,
similar to.
Well, let's backtrack.
Well, I played sports growing up. Well, I danced when I was really little and
Oh,
played
wow.
sports. So I literally quit dancing when I was like 11 years old to focus on sports full time.
What sports?
I was all-state basketball my junior and senior year, volleyball, state champion bodybuilder. Like, I was all about sports. That was my thing. I had a bunch of scholarships to play in college, basketball, and ended up breaking my ankle at the wrong time, and like the scouting and everything was just kind of. So then they're like, you can try to walk on at like CU or CSU, and I was like, oh, do I really want to do that? And so my mom was like, you were such a great little dancer. Go out to Vegas for the summer after high school and just audition for things. And
here you go, 18 years
dance.
old, go to Vegas.
Yep, my mom like literally forced me. She was like, I'll pay for an apartment for 3 months. Go out there.
Aww.
I mortified myself at every single audition. Like, it would be, I had no idea what I was doing. So I, would show up, and everyone was like in hip hop clothes, and I was wearing like a, showgirl outfit. And so then the next one I would go in a showgirl outfit and like a tight bun and the big things, and everyone was, I missed the mark every single time. So it was kind of like that last. It was right before summer break was over, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go home to Colorado. There's one more audition. I'm going to go audition for Show in the Sky at the Rio. I don't know if I'm going to get it. Otherwise, I'm getting in my car and I'm driving to Colorado. And I went to the audition.
There you go.
It's going back
got
to
it. Yeah, I gotta quit my life at some point, and maybe the thing that I do right before I did make that decision.
Yeah, it was definitely like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be, because my car was packed. I was moving back to Colorado for sure.
Wow.
So, yeah. Thank the universe for.
Okay, so you did. So you got Show in the Sky at 18.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And then so from there, where did you?
Oh, I did that show for maybe 9 months, and then I did a magic show in China. I was out there for a couple months.
In China.
And then I literally did every single show I did for about 6 months, and then I literally thought I was the closer for shows, because shows would be open. So then I'd come into the cast and be there for like a month or two, and then the show would close. And then I'd go to another one and learn a new show, and then I literally closed like 7 or 8 shows in a row, and I was like, I think I'm bad luck. I think if you hire me, then your show is going to close. So luckily, I mean, eventually all shows in Vegas end up, running their course of time.
Yeah.
But knock on wood, I've been at Fantasy for now 14 years, so, and I don't see us going anywhere.
Wow. So what other shows did you do in Vegas?
Oh, I did Steve Wyrick's Magic Show. I did Greg Thompson's Showgirls, Rhinestone Cowgirls. I did Sin City Kitties out in Prim. I did a couple shows in Laughlin. I lost track. Sometimes I look at my resume and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that show.
Wow.
So yeah, I was on a bunch of billboards. That was my biggest goal. I had an ex-boyfriend break my heart, and he said, oh, you're Grand Junction hot, but you'll just be a dime a dozen in
He
Vegas.
did not say that to you.
So
What does that
so
even
I was just
mean?
like, I remember like being 18 and driving up the strip, and I was like, I'm going to see my face. I'm going to be on the strip. You're going to see me up here. Like, I'm going to show him I've never talked to him again since. I have no idea if he
Oh
even
man,
knows,
I
but,
would.
like,
I would actually go get the billboard and put it in his front yard. So every time he walks out, he's got to look at the damn billboard and be like, hey,
yeah,
you know,
that's me.
Grand Junction hot right here.
That's right. That's right. 2 Grand Junction hots sitting on one couch.
Yeah, I mean, no kidding. I mean, wow. I mean, I can hear. So do people think of Grand Junction that way?
Oh, like small towny.
Oh, okay.
That's what that means. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, some of the most amazing people come from small towns.
I mean, I agree.
I mean, you got to get diamonds in the rough, and I
Yeah.
probably have 2 of them right here.
No, they all just come from Grand Junction.
Well, I've been through Grand Junction. I rented a car in Grand Junction, but actually, for a lot of people that don't know, Grand Junction is like the gateway. If you're not going to fly directly into Aspen, you fly to Grand Junction. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you get into Aspen that way.
Yeah,
or you can go to what's that?
Although we can't keep talking about Grand Junction. We're going to kill this podcast.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
Everyone's going to move to Grand Junction and be like, that's where all the hot girls are.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we're going to create the hashtag Grand Junction Hot.
Right.
All right, we're going to change that whole mentality. I actually have to send this to everybody I know that's from Colorado. Maybe we do like a whole marketing play and be like, hey, explain what Grand Junction Hot means.
I like it.
That's
my,
awesome.
That's my new hashtag.
When we were driving down, me and David, I just shot with David actually last couple days, and we did one little set on this Sunset Strip, and we saw your billboard. And I was like, is that your friend? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take a picture of a billboard from the car. I was like, that's so cool.
I've been very lucky to be on lots of things, and I have no idea. I have no idea how I got so lucky, and I'm definitely not the best dancer or the prettiest or any of the things.
Maybe you are.
I'm definitely not.
Grand Junction Hot.
Well, Grand Junction Hot, yeah.
Maybe it's the Grand Junction.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, you know, that old saying, beauty is, you know, in the eye of the beholder. You know, to me, like, I think somebody can be extremely attractive, and they can be the ugliest person I know, and it goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, on top of it all, I don't think anybody that's watching or listening to this is going to think that you're anything but beautiful, gorgeous, talented, sexy. And you got to check out the October issue because I think you're a little naked in that one, right?
I am.
Wow.
It's a little naughty. Yes.
Is it? So how? I mean, how far is it just topless? I mean, I haven't. I think
You haven't looked?
I haven't.
It's not like. I feel like it's very classy. It's
it's like Playboy.
It's definitely not, you know, any of the porn things that you can see. I feel like it's very very well done. I wouldn't know how to describe it except for
Playboy.
Yeah, Playboy.
Yeah, Playboy.
Playboy.
Okay.
Yep. So similar.
Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then
I got my mom's approval on it, so don't worry. I was like, David asked me, and then I called my mom. I was like, "Do I want to do this?" And she was like, "Yeah, go for it." I was like,
Your
okay.
mom sounds cool.
She is cool.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know, that's another thing you can do is you can send that issue, that magazine, to the ex-boyfriend that broke your heart.
Well, I don't even know how to find him, but.
Well, I mean, it's probably a dead issue, but it would be, but it would be good. Or every ex,
Right.
here's like here,
Yes.
remember this?
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, but I know this is actually the cover, and you know what? I think I'm interviewing David after this, and I'm gonna have to see if he has an issue, and we might have to see what you look like naked, huh?
There's articles in there too, so you could read the articles. And
No, for sure. Come on, it's Playboy.
That's what most people,
Right.
do it for the articles.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I read it for the articles.
too,
Isn't that
yeah,
like
yeah.
an
Yes.
old slogan or
Yes.
something?
No, but it is kind of funny because when me and David were kind of reconnecting, and I said, you know what? I said, I have an old issue of Playboy that had an article with Wade Boggs, is an old baseball player, played for the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees. And I go, where he talked about he ate chicken, this certain type of chicken before every single game. And that was like a superstition with him. And he goes, I'm the one that shot that. I did the whole thing. He goes, matter of fact, let me show you photos. And then he liked Playboy so much, obviously, that he actually got to come in and be mentored under David, and he got to shoot a centerfold.
Wow.
They brought Wade Boggs in, I think it was Chicago or LA. It might have been Chicago at the studio. And he got to actually shoot. And David has all these behind the scenes photos. And
How cool is
And
that?
I'm like, God, I remember that. I mean, I actually collected Playboy issues thinking that they were actually going to be valuable back in the day.
Right.
I'm a huge Maryland fan myself. It's funny, like my old condo was nothing but Maryland.
Wow.
And everybody's like, oh, man, you think she's hot? I go, actually, I thought she was like a boss. Like I really kind of respected her for like doing it her way.
Right.
Like Frank Sinatra says, right? I did
Yeah.
it my way.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is awesome. But I wish we had a lot more time to continue doing this. This was a great segment.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
Having us. We all love Schitt's Creek. We got to talk about that, and
Grand
also
Junction.
David. I
And
guess.
David,
Also
yeah,
David
David's
Macy.
amazing. Yep. No, yep. Misi magazine.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was definitely incredible, and I got to learn what Grand Junction hot is or not.
Right.
But
Hashtag.
actually, it's definitely hot. What do you guys think? 100% hot.
Thank
Well, thank you again, and yeah, let's continue to have a great day.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you for
thank
having
you.
us.
All
Good.
right.
Yay.
That was fun.
That was fun.